one could argue that polyamory is already legalized and protected under the Constitution because of our equality, gender equality, and gender equality rights, and the right to prevent unfair discrimination. But despite the fact that no law exists to forbid polyamorous relationships, in practice, we're not really seeing that panning out very well. We aren't exactly holding our breaths for marriage equality here. In practice, there's a lot of discrimination. People who work in fields where your personal reputation must be absolutely spotless, such as childcare or medicine or education, often are terrified of revealing the fact that they're polyamorous. They face being rejected by their friends, their family, the community at large, if they reveal themselves as being polyamorous. And very few polyamorous people are actually willing to be publicly seen as polyamorous. I'm one of the lucky ones. Although I am out to my family and my friends, I don't think there's a lot of people who know me well who don't know that I'm polyamorous. But despite that, I'm still not on camera today. And it's because of the fact that I fear for the safety of other people in my family. I fear for the safety of my girlfriend, whose relationship with her very conservative and somewhat violent family could put her at risk if they were aware of our relationship. And I fear for the safety of the professional affiliations of my husband's partner, who, may get some flack if it were known that she was part of our extended group. So that's basically the reason why I'm anonymous. We actually would love to see more legislation just working towards greater non-discrimination. It protects us from being fired, being victimized, actually having the right to raise our children, even if we are found to be polyamorous, and measures that would give us legal recourse if somebody actually does abuse us or discriminate against us in some way. Those would really be very important for us, as those things are for any, minority group. Mostly we just want to live and let live. So having a protection that would allow us to do that would be really, really great. We're realistic about the fact that society is still very prejudiced, and people have very strong feelings about marriage. And honestly, we have less of a intense need for marriage equality. In many of the people who are polyamorous, in fact, sort of view marriage as a unnecessary thing. They think that it's a an institution that's failing or something like that. So many people aren't that overly concerned about gaining marriage equality. But what I think many of us do want to see is that we have greater security for people in relationships that are non-standard. And I think that's true not just for polyamorous people, but for anyone who isn't in a marital relationship, but who still is in a relationship that is, that has been a long-term relationship, or where they've committed a great deal of personal resources and time and energy into into having this relationship, and that places them in a certain degree of risk. So somebody who, for instance, sacrificed their career to raise a child, but they're not married to the father, is in a very similar position to a polyamorous partner in that respect. People who have illnesses that might end them up in a hospital bed one day, and being concerned that the person that the hospital will call will be their estranged parent whom they hate, rather than the girlfriend they've been living with for 4 years. Those are the kind of things that I think both polyamorous and non-polyamorous people struggle with. And those are the kind of laws we're aiming for first. Protections that benefit everyone, not just us. I think one of the big things that we want to say to non-polyamorous people is that we don't necessarily have a problem with monogamous people. Um, we really don't view monogamous people as being less than. You will obviously, occasionally, you will find a few what I would call militant polyamorists who will tell you that something is wrong with monogamy and monogamy is evil. But I think the majority of us have a very moderate view where we acknowledge the fact that people differ, preferences differ, and we all just want the right to be able to love the people we love and live the way we choose. And so as an ally, anyone who comes to us with, an agenda that's focused on any kind of, equality, gender, race, any kind of minority respect, those are the same kind of allies that we need in the polyamorous community. The same people that you see marching alongside gay people are the people you need alongside poly people. You want to look at how you speak about open relationships. We want to challenge people who look at polyamorous relationships or open relationships as being inherently about sex, inherently dangerous sexually, questioning the morality or the ethics of people in open relationships or non-monogamous relationships in general, is deeply unfair. Because I honestly believe that on average, most polyamorous people are actually deeply moral, deeply ethical people. It's the reason why we choose ethical non-monogamy as opposed to just slinking about behind our partner's back, which we all know a very large proportion of monogamous people do. So being recognized for the fact that we are really trying our very best to create a safe environment is important to us. Having people speak up for us would be great. Having a monogamous person who overhears a conversation about open relationships actually pipe up and say, I heard this thing the other day, or I saw this thing the other day, and this is what I feel. Because we don't always have the freedom to speak our minds on this topic, precisely because sometimes doing that would mean us outing ourselves. But if you are in a situation where it's well known that you're actually a monogamous person and that's not it, so you're not threatened by that, talking about this topic, speaking up actually gives you an opportunity to use that privilege of not being challenged by society to set a new standard for how people treat people in polyamorous relationships. If someone is looking for more information about the polyamorous community, we usually refer them to our umbrella website, polyamory.co.za. And the website has a whole bunch of media and links, and we've got subscription pages for a mailing list that publishes a whole bunch of articles each month and has discussions about polyamory. We have monthly meetings in Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town, where people can come and join us in person. We've got a Facebook group, a WhatsApp group. So there's a lot of ways that people can get in touch with the existing polyamorous community in South Africa. There are other resources for polyamorous people. If you're looking to find people to date, a good website to start with is okcupid.com. And anybody really looking for a non-monogamous relationship, but not specifically a polyamorous one, could look at various different websites, Znights, column.co.za, fetlife.com. There's a whole range of those kinds of websites out there. There's even clubs that serve the non-monogamous community. There's one in Joburg called Club Rome. So there are actually places people can go to meet other people who would like to have open relationships. Usually just a Google search away. So that would be where I would start, is just looking for resources online.